Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
that sounds much better. Sorry. So this, to repeat myself, this is a project at Documenta 9 in 1992. And yeah, to my mind, this was like the beginning of social media, but on television, not yet on the internet. This is a screen shot from one of the recordings we did. So let me just read that out because I don't want to miss out. Piazza Virtuale was a media experiment that took place at Documenta 9 in 1992. Van Gogh TV, a group of artists and hackers, wanted to transfer the concept of an Italian piazza, a place for casual meetings and conversations, into the mass medium of television. To do this, they used all the electronic media available at that time to involve the television audience, who could watch the program daily on German public TV station Dreisat in what was happening on the screen. And that went on for the 100 days that Documenta typically lasts. It was on every day in the mornings and in the weekend, also during the night. I think that must have been the biggest television art project ever in terms of time, in terms of participation, in terms of budget, but you can prove me wrong about that. People could participate in the program via telephone, fax, mailbox, and video phone, join discussions, participate in an online chat, which you can see here. Up there, these are faxes that were sent in. You could call again, you could make music, and you could paint together or move an interactive camera in the studio in Kassel. And you could do this via video phone. Then there were these programs from the so-called piazzettas, which were these micro studios all over Europe, and they would, what you would call, stream today their program into Kassel, and then it was broadcast on German television and also via satellite internationally. And this is what it looked like. This is the automatic camera. That was also, and the way they did this, at this time, they had just started with the touchtone technology. And they devised this mechanism where the touchtone signals would be converted into computer signals. And that's how you could draw. This is how you could move the camera, for instance. Yeah, this was their studio. For those of you who have been to Documenta, they know the Fabrizianum, which is like the main building there. And then on the left-hand side, on this parking lot, they had this really big studio, I think 12 containers, this huge satellite dish. So you can see this was really a major production. In case you ask yourself, why have I never heard about this project before? The answer is that after this project, the group had a falling out and they were not in speaking terms for almost 2 decades. And then, yeah, finally they got back together again and reached an agreement what to do with the archival material. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Briefly, I'm going to talk about the material that we had to deal with. And then I will show you some examples how we made it accessible to the interested audience. And by the way, if you haven't done that already anyway, please whip out your cell phone and not to look at your Instagram, but to open the QR code, because there's going to be some QR codes throughout the presentation that will lead you to some of the material I'm talking about. So this is the control room, and you can see that they used off-the-shelf material, off-the-shelf computers. So, you know, it was very hackerish in a way. They set up this studio all by themselves with a relatively small budget. Again, they were hackers, so they were able to set up their own studio. And if you look at these cables there in the back, you can see that this was really, you know, very thrown together in a way, but it worked. Yeah, this is our research group and 3 of the 4 artists involved. That was at the beginning of our project. And yeah, what did we have to work with? First of all, we had 800 hours of 800 hours, yeah, of video recordings of the material and of the program and other material, and we digitized that into MPEG format and partly annotated that with Motion Bank. Here are these boxes when I picked them up to have them digitized. So you can see before we started, there was a lot of physical material and stuff there. Yeah, this is this system we use to annotate the videos, Motion Bank. Yeah, you can use that to annotate, and then in the background it creates this index. So in the end, you have all these keywords that will take you to clips or to parts of the videos that you have annotated. It's kind of like a index for videos. Then we had move this somehow. Yeah, still this. Yeah, so we had 36 good old files with more than 7,000 pages. Those were digitized with OCR, so you can machine search them. And yeah, good thing was that this was in 1992. Yeah, so at this time people were still using fax. So we had all this physical material, you know, it was slowly disintegrating, but if this would have been done 2 years later, 3 years later, all of this would have been done with email and nothing would have been left. And here we really had, you know, a lot of material, almost too much material to deal with. So these were some of the faxes that were sent in. This was one of the notes. I don't know who wrote that, but it gives you a little bit of the idea about the working condition in these containers. This is very interesting. That was this, for the young people might not even understand what the purpose of this book was, that when people, you know, at this time people didn't have cell phones. So when you called, if you wanted to call somebody, they called at the studio, and then if this person wasn't there, they had to write a message down. Your mother called, your brother called, your girlfriend called, please call them back. This is how they did this in this day. I'm not sure if I could show you this because this is really, you know, a lot of private information, but very valuable for our research. Then we had software and emails that were on these 2 old hard disks that we tried to salvage, which was very expensive, but to no avail. We didn't get anything out of that. Then we did interviews with the 4 members of the group. There were almost 150 contributors to the show or to the project. We didn't interview all of them, of course, but a good number of them, sometimes in person or during COVID via Skype. This is my assistant setting up the camera for one of the interviews, and then later we could also use this footage for the documentary film that we made. And then there was also this technology that the group devised by themselves. For example, here is a board that they had etched in Taiwan. So, you know, this was also a very challenging material. And yeah, also this antique technology that they used, for example, this slow scan picture phone, which yeah, allowed you even back then to send pictures, images from one phone to the other. Here you see this little device from Panasonic, and you couldn't really stream with it, but you could send picture by picture by picture, kind of like with a fax. This is Benjamin Heidersberger, one of the members of the group, holding that up, by the way. And here, this is a table at the exhibition that we set up, and you see some of the old technology we use, and people love that for some reason. I was really surprised that people got really very interested in these machines, and this is kind of like understandable. We had 2 of these phones, these picture phones, put up in different rooms, so you could send pictures back and forth. And then there was also this printer that you could use to print these pictures out. And after a couple of days, we noticed that people left the, you know, these analog selfies that they didn't like, or put them next to the machine. So we just put some glue there or some gaffer tape so they could put them up and contribute to this exhibition. This is what these yeah, selfies from the early 1990s looked like. So yeah, it apparently has a look that you cannot implicate with Instagram filters. Yeah, and if you want to take a look at the website, please scan the QR code now. It's also in the proceedings, but just to be sure. Yeah, this is the website that we set up, and this is kind of like the center of the whole thing. Here you have really the audiovisual documentation. There are clips from interviews, there are clips from the program, there are sketches or screenshots and material, all the stuff that you cannot put in a book, and everything else kind of like relates or takes you back to the website. So for instance, the book, there are also QR codes that you can use to get to the audiovisual material that you obviously cannot put in a book. And the book is also downloadable from there. It's a open access PDF file that you can get everywhere, and that also means that it's all the libraries in Germany now, and even internationally. The New York Public Library, for example, has my book now. They never acquired it, but because it's an open access publication, yeah, it's very easy to attain. And here's an example for the material on the website. This was, again, this interactive robot camera. So you have a clip of the program showing the camera. Then you have the artist Nick Baginski, who explains the camera. He was the one who built it. And then you have some screenshots and related material. And again, if there were sketches or if there were drafts and stuff, that would also be here. For example, this was this virtual das virtuelle Atelier, the virtual studio, where you could draw and together. And it was kind of like a very simple drawing program. And again, you could use this with the touchtone telephone. And on the left-hand side here, this little notebook, this is where Benjamin Heidersberger first wrote this idea down. How about if we connect the telephone to a computer in the TV studio? And then, yeah, as soon as this program came on, people dialed in, and you usually had two users who could draw with or against each other. And again, this is in 1992, so a lot of people didn't even have a computer. And if they had a computer, they probably didn't have a drawing or a graphic program on it, but still people caught up very quickly. Then there's the book, also right here. I have a couple of copies with me, so in case you have anything interesting to exchange, you can maybe have a little deal there. But you can also download it from the website. And here again, this is 2 pages from the book. Again, the QR code that takes you to the website. You do have some of the sketches and some of the material that's mostly on the website here. These guys, by the way, that's also interesting. They came specifically to Kassel because at one point this show really got these fans, you know, it was kind of like a virtual community, and people from Germany ended up traveling to Kassel to meet the people behind this really avant-garde program. So here you can download the book, but it's also on the website. Then we had this exhibition in Künstlerhaus Bethanien in November, December last year. And again, you see the QR code, because the problem with this show was, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
If you want to be taken.
Yeah. All right, you all got your shot. Again, it's in the proceedings. Yeah, so the exhibition was a bit of a problem because we didn't have much physical material. So instead we had these screenshots, we showed videos. There are some sketches and stuff in these boxes, but mostly, yeah, people were invited to scan these QR codes and see more material, and they did. I could see this because the access on the website went up. And yeah, then there was some physical material. And then last but not least, I think I'm almost out of time, right? Okay, was this online presentation. And I think this might be interesting for a lot of you. Because this is a way to do an online presentation without any institution or anything. It's a system that's called common.garden, and you can create your own virtual exhibition here. So we have shots from the exhibition, we have these slideshows, you can see that right now, but there are also videos or for example, this year's an Instagram work by Miranda July. So you can integrate all that into the work, and then you can, oh, it starts running. Then you can build your you can do your own show here. And this was developed by a friend of mine, Constant Doulard, a Dutch artist. During COVID, the idea was to be able to do shows if you cannot do shows in physical space, and that also have other characteristics of the show, of shows that you typically don't have online. So you can meet, you can do guided tours, like for example, I'm here now. So we really did an opening here apart from the physical opening. And if you log in here too, then you will also be represented by this little icon. And if two of these icons move together, they can communicate, or you could set up one central microphone for the opening presentation or to give talks. So you could do guided tours throughout. Yeah. Yeah, so it's very versatile and very interesting. I'm not sure. A lot of artists experimented with that during COVID. We remains to be seen if this will stick around, but so to conclude my talk, let's see if I have any slides left. Yeah, here's the link to the exhibition, and then there's the video, which I'm afraid we cannot watch now. Afterwards, okay. And yeah, the final way to document all this work was this documentary video, and this is also linked from the proceedings, or let me just take you to the QR code, and this is federal or by government money, so I thought it should be really available to everybody. But this documentary film might be, on German television stations interested in buying it. That's why I'm keeping it out of the public, but here you can watch it. So thank you very much for your attention, and let's give a shout out to my new friend Philippe.